Don't think we're going to be seeing Hendon Hooker this season. We talk about it on a Thursday Locked On Lions.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's good, everybody? Welcome in. It is a Thursday edition of Locked On Lions right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Matt Derry with you. It's Thursday, July 13th into Friday, July 14th. We will have a show for you tomorrow. If you missed yesterday's show with Ben Brown from PFF, please check that out as well. Thanks for making this your first listen. Checking us out wherever you get your podcasts. And we love our everydayers. Those of you that listen or watch each and every day, thank you for doing that. Thanks for making us a part of your day here on Locked On Lions, right here again on the Locked On Podcast Network. Coming up on the show today, the Hooker plan. What is it for Hendon Hooker this season? He spoke to a Knoxville, Tennessee reporter. We'll tell you what he had to say momentarily here on the show. Also, Hendon Hooker then leads to Jared Goff discussion. It just always does. I think Jared Goff's future is going to be right here in Detroit for a while. And we'll explain coming up momentarily. And some funny around the NFC North news. I somehow got linked. Somebody sent this to me, or I found it, to this Green Bay Packers fan site. It's a blog site. Let me give it the proper just desserts here. Cheeseheadtv.com. I got a doozy for you. This is just really funny. So I'll read you something that they wrote coming up momentarily as well. Follow us on Twitter at Derry Speaks and at Locked On Lions. We're on Threads as well, if you're new to that, and on board there at The Real Matt Derry Facebook fan page, and also the Locked On Lions YouTube channel where it's free. Subscribe and watch each and every day right here on Locked On Lions. But it's a Thursday edition of the program. Great new sponsor, eBay Motors. We're going to tell you about them coming up too momentarily as well. All right, so tooling around the internet. This is the slow time of year. Next week, we're going to talk about players on the Lions roster that could be first-time Pro Bowlers this coming season. I'll give you my list of 5. We do this every summer before we get ready for the season. Remember, last year, the Lions had a bunch of new Pro Bowlers in Amon-Ra St. Brown, who was a first-timer, Penei Sewell, Frank Ragnow, and of course, Jared Goff as well was a first-time Lion Pro Bowler last year as going as an alternate and then getting an opportunity to be a part of the game. All right, so Hendon Hooker speaks. The Lions, of course, 3rd-round draft pick. Everybody excited about drafting a quarterback, and that's what the Lions did this past year. It's something that this organization, dating back to the Bob Quinn era, heck, even before that, with Mayhew and Lawand, the Lions really never have gone out and drafted a young quarterback, a developmental quarterback. Years ago, the organization took Brad Kaya out of Miami. I ripped it from day one on this podcast and said the guy stinks and wasn't even good in college, and I was right. But they took Hendon Hooker this year in the 3rd round. And, of course, the Lions, a rookie quarterback, tore his ACL back in November last year. So it's going to take him some time, November 19th at Tennessee. So it's going to take him some time to get back in the Lions, just in the lineup, to practice and everything else. And Kevin Patra, our buddy from around the NFL, wrote this the other day at NFL.com. Lions rookie quarterback Hendon Hooker is headed toward a redshirt season as the former Tennessee product rehabs a November ACL tear. The question entering training camp later this month is whether or not the 3rd-round pick will be able to get any on-field action at all during camp, or whether he'll be relegated to mental reps. Hooker recently told Kara Hall of the Knoxville News Sentinel that he's progressing really well. Quote, "I'm really just taking it day by day and continuing to build my body back up to where I want it to be and even better," Hooker said. The article went on to say that Hooker, of course, did not take part in the team's offseason program. He's 25 years old, taking it easy with his torn ACL. He might be placed on the league's non-football injury list to open training camp, which would likely be what he would do. And he may be cleared at some point to do some work at training camp. But again, the guy tore his ACL November 19th. So it's going to be a while. Jameson Williams tore his ACL, in January of the year before, and it took him till November to get back in the lineup as well. Hooker went on to tell the Knoxville News Sentinel, "I love the Detroit staff. Quote, they're very supportive, always teaching and hungry to get better. There's a competitive aspect from every coach that we have, blah, blah, blah. We're just trying to win games." And Hooker isn't really sure when he's going to be back. So here's another case of another article talking about a redshirt year for Hendon Hooker. And I'm going to continue to say this. This is exciting to have a young quarterback on the team. It's exciting to have a very good football player on the team. I don't care if Josh Heupel's system at Tennessee, anybody could have played. Not true. All right. I know Joe Milton was decent there, taking over for Hooker, the former Michigan quarterback who was brutal in Ann Arbor, was actually pretty decent down at UT. With that being said, Hendon Hooker is a very good talent and showed that he was a Heisman Trophy candidate before that unfortunate injury at the end of his season last year. But I'll continue to push the envelope, push this narrative here. He's not going to play this year. I don't think there's any chance Hendon Hooker sees the field at all. And let's say he comes back and feels good and rehabs and comes back and is 10 months in, like Jameson Williams was. That would put him at November to August, September, maybe. The Lions are going to sit him out all season. I truly believe that. They've got their guy in Jared Goff. They're excited about what the future might look like if Hendon Hooker gets on the field. And maybe he pushes Jared Goff someday. Maybe he's a new look quarterback. Maybe contract talks with Jared Goff. And I'm going to talk about this in a second. But maybe they reach a point that the two sides don't agree on how much he should be paid or what the future looks like. Hooker is that insurance policy. But again, for this season, fans are like, I'm hearing from fans like, oh, I can't wait to see Hendon Hooker preseason. Maybe he'll play a little bit. Let's see what we got. Could he be back? I don't see it. I think this organization is going to have him wearing a baseball cap and a clipboard all year long. And I think they feel good about going into the season with Jared Goff, who for the most part in 2 years in Detroit has not gotten injured, and Nate Sudfeld as their backup quarterback. And here's the catch. If Goff were to get hurt, something were to happen to him in training camp or preseason, or I don't think he's going to play much in preseason, but if something happens to him or Nate Sudfeld, this team has the money and is under the cap enough that they could go out and sign Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater remains unsigned. But Hendon Hooker this year, no, we're not going to see it. Am I excited to see what the future might look like with him? Yes. But for this season, he's talking like a guy, and everybody's writing about the guy like he's a red shirt. And I know we're not in the patience business anymore. I do a daily podcast. I've got to come up with material every day. We're in the Twitter sphere and Instagram and Threads and Facebook and all these things and TikTok where people want to see stuff right away. Then they discard it. Oh, yeah, the hot new thing, all the chicken sandwich wars and all these things. And, oh, yeah, this new thing and that new thing. And then they move on to something else because there's stuff at our disposal and information at our disposal and entertainment at our disposal like this. You just scroll and there's something new. With Hendon Hooker, the Lions are going to take it so easy. They're not going to put him. Yeah, Jared Goff has 2 years left in his contract. I think they're viewing Hendon Hooker for 2024, and that is it. That is it. Now, again, what does that mean for Jared Goff? I want to talk about it, and we'll do that coming up next. But first, we got to talk about our friends at eBay Motors. They are partners now with us here on Locked On Lions, and they've teamed up with the Locked On Fantasy Football Show and host Vinny Iyer to bring you some of the best fantasy picks each week, all right, all season long. So whether you're prepping for a draft or scouting the waiver wire, every pick, every week, we're going to provide you players that are guaranteed to fit on your roster right here on this show. So with draft prep underway for the upcoming season, let's see who Vinny has picked for us in this week's edition of eBay's Guaranteed Fit Fantasy Picks of the Week. We told you yesterday about Justin Jefferson being a guaranteed fit. Today, we go running back. Vinny loves Christian McCaffrey. When making the first overall pick in fantasy football drafts in 2023, Niners running back Christian McCaffrey is a guaranteed fit. A healthy McCaffrey is guaranteed to see well more than 300 touches again in his first full season with the Niners, and is the centerpiece of their offense and everything that they do. McCaffrey checks all the boxes, including his talent and usage, high floor and ceiling. Run with CMC as the guaranteed fit at number 1 for a smooth ride to another year of big numbers. Vinny Iyer from Locked On Fantasy Football is going to help you. He's going to do it. With your fantasy championship, and eBay Motors knows a championship team is about each player being a perfect fit. Same with your vehicle. With eBay Guaranteed Fit and over 22 million parts and accessories for your vehicle, right at your fingertips, you can make sure you're riding smoothly with eBay Motors. It's simple. You go online, it's right there. Air filters, brakes, batteries, tail lights, shocks, struts, alternators. Remember the Pistons have the alternators? You name it, eBay Motors has it. And they'll make sure it's right fit for your car. Because eBay Guaranteed Fit helps you understand exactly what part you need for your vehicle the first time. So go forth, switch gears, crank the AC, and say goodbye to sweating if your ride needs a little fixing up. All right, go with the Guaranteed Fit. Everything your vehicle is calling it for is just a click away. For the parts and accessories that fit your vehicle, just look for the green check. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices at ebaymotors.com. That's right. Let's ride eBay. Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. All right, folks. I saw something that cracked me up. I'm going to get to that coming up momentarily right here on Locked On Lions as well. That was absolutely ridiculous at Cheesehead TV. But we just mentioned Hendon Hooker. What's the latest and what's the update on Jared Goff? Well, no contract talks between the two sides. Why should the Lions talk to him? And why would Jared Goff even want to talk to the Lions? The market is always different every offseason. Remember when Matthew Stafford was the highest paid quarterback in the NFL? And many Lions fans are like, Stafford's never won anything. It doesn't matter. You've got to have a competent quarterback under center if you want to make a run. All right. The Raiders thought Derek Carr was trash. The Saints think Derek Carr is the savior. Right? New England Patriots won 7 Super Bowls or whatever it was with Tommy Brady. All right. How they been doing since with the likes of Mac Jones and others? Right? Not so good. You got to have a quarterback. And the Lions have one in Jared Goff. I've never been sold on Goff being great. All right. I think Jared Goff has played very well. Played very well this last year. I was unimpressed with him the first year. And now is really the year for Jared Goff to shine and take this team to the levels that they feel they should get to. And that is winning this division. All right. The Lions are the favorites in Vegas, the over-unders, 9.5, everything else. But it's up to Jared Goff to make the throws, to stay protected, to make plays, to lead. And he did that last year to the tune of a 9-8 record, going into Green Bay and outplaying. All right. He did outplaying Aaron Rodgers in week 18. Not that Goff threw for 400 yards or anything, but he manages the game well. He makes big throws, and he led the Lions to a winning season last year after 2 years ago when they won 3 football games. 3. All right. Jared Goff does have some good weapons around him. All right. He can hit backs out of the backfield. He's got Amon-Ra St. Brown. For half a season last year, he had a Pro Bowl tight end in TJ Hawkinson before he was traded to Minnesota. Now the Lions feel like, oh man, Jahmyr Gibbs to go with David Montgomery. Sam Laporta, tight end, a bigger threat at that position, they feel, than maybe Hawkinson ever was, especially with run after the catch. Amon-Ra's coming back. Jamison Williams will return in week 7 and hopefully play in 11 games for this football team. All right. They love the combination of Goff to Josh Reynolds. All right. They feel like Khalif Raymond can be a game breaker still and a guy that is reliable in the slot and everything else. And then we'll see what else they have at receiver. But Jared Goff, to me, is going to be the quarterback here for a long time. I truly believe it. I think he likes it here. I know he just got another house out in LA, but players move out to LA all the time. I think he belongs here. And as long as Ben Johnson is the offensive coordinator, I think Goff will do really well. Maybe the question we should be asking is what happens after this season if Ben Johnson gets a head coaching job? Would Jared Goff's play dip down? This team has more speed, more talent, very good offensive line, probably got better this offseason with Hal Vaitai getting healthy than they did last year. So, yeah. Year 1, 2021, Jared Goff was nothing special. There were times you watched him and you went, man, wish we had a Justin Fields type. Wish we had a guy that could run. Last year, same thing. Start of the year, Jared Goff wasn't lighting the world on fire, but it turned out he was a top 10 quarterback last year and had a top 5 offense that he was leading. So I think he's staying. I think after this season, I think they're going to have a successful year, and I think Goff will sign because that's what you do. Why would you're locking up what you have and what you have, and the guy's still in his 20s. All right. And I don't know what the money's going to look like, but who cares? At the end, he's the quarterback that's winning for you and playing well for you. So we just talked about Hendon Hooker. Maybe there is a future for him somewhere. But is it going to be in Detroit in 2 years if Goff doesn't do well? And is there a trade? Goff, I guess, could play out the final year of his deal, but I don't see that happening. I think after next year, he stays and re-signs. That's how I would look at it. All right, coming up next, I got to read you something hilarious from Cheesehead TV. It's about expected, but they're bitter. They're bitter about the hype that's down the road. Well, that's not really down the road, but you know what I mean. Down and over. The hype, they don't like it. I'm going to explain it coming up next. First, though, I want to tell you about Marg's Sparkling Margaritas. Oh, my goodness. You guys know, I've been talking about it. 5 great flavors. Refreshing. No more White Claws. No more High Noons. All right. Those are old bits. Marg's is where it's at. Sparkling Margaritas. Thank God I stumbled upon these things. Refreshing, ready to drink, and they become my go-to cocktail. I was gone for a week, couldn't get them where I was vacationing, and I was dying without them. Real Blanco tequila. Marg's are clean, crisp. They genuinely taste so good. Something for everybody with their 5 unique flavors. All right. It's hot out there. You want to kick back on the back porch, get yourself a drink after dinner. Marg's is the jam. It is. It's the drink of summer. No question about it. Visit sipmargs.com right now to find a retailer near you. That's SIP, S-I-P, Margs, M-A-R-G-S.com to find a retailer near you. Must be 21 and over to enjoy. Cheers, and please drink responsibly from Margs. Go get marged. Hopefully some of you remember that Rob Parker bit I just gave you from the old days. All right, final thing on the show today here on a Thursday, Cheesehead TV. It is a Packers kind of blog site. They wrote an article around the NFC North by Mike Price, the All-NFC North preseason team. So I'm like, this ought to be interesting. Offense and defense, okay? Just to give you an example, David Bakhtiari made it on the All-NFC North team over both Taylor Decker and Penei Sewell. David Bakhtiari did not have a good year last year. Sorry, that's not happening. Elton Jenkins, the guard, made it over Jonah Jackson. Frank Ragnow was named the center. Amon-Ra St. Brown was on the team as a wide receiver. So that's 2 from the Lions on offense. On defense, Aleem McNeil and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson from the Lions defense. Don't see Aiden Hutchinson on there or anybody else. So when they wrote their conclusion, this is this Mike Price guy. He says, based on my very scientific expert list, the Packers have 7 All-NFC North players. Okay. Packers have some good players. The Bears have 5. The Vikings have 6. And quote, God's gift of football, the Lions have 4. He goes on to write, quote, I will say the Lions have the most guys snubbed from the list or knocking on the door. Sewell, Hutchinson, Joseph, Laporta, and Gibbs could all make it next year with a breakout season. Mike Price is a lifelong Packers fan currently living in Utah. You can follow him on Twitter at the Mike Price. 7 Packers, 5 Bears, 6 Vikings. And then they write, God's gift of football, the Lions. Think Packers fans are a little burnt right now, a little crispy about the Lions hype? God's gift of football. Somebody's calling the Lions God's gift of football. I love it. I absolutely love it. That is awesome. 7 Packers. Where were the Packers on this list? Hold on. Aaron Jones, Bakhtiari, Jenkins, and then on defense, Rashawn Gary, Kenny Clark. Come on. Jair Alexander, Rasul Douglas. Yeah, that's 7. Jeez. At least the quarterback was Kirk Cousins on this list, by the way, not Jared Goff, but not Hall of Fields, Justin Fields. I just love Packers fans calling the Lions God's gift of football. Sorry, y'all got swept by the Lions last year, Packer fans. And no one's picking the Packers to win the division. Plenty of people are picking the Lions. The Packers have a giant question at quarterback. If Jordan Love is good, Green Bay's not bad. I haven't hated on the Packers. I think Green Bay can finish second. I don't think the Packers are bad. I do love Jair Alexander. I think he's very good. I think they've got some talent, but 7, that's awesome. I guess I'll have to do an All-NFC North team myself maybe next week. All right, that'll do it for Locked On Lions for this Thursday. We are back again tomorrow. Thanks for making us your first listen. Shout out to the everydayers. We love you.